Imagine, for a moment, a millionaire used to solving everything with money suddenly finding himself powerless in the face of what mattered most, his children's happiness. 12 failed attempts, 12 nannies who couldn't even scratch the surface of the wall of rebellion the twins had built after losing their mother. Then, just when hope seemed lost, someone simple and unexpected appears and changes the fate of the entire family. Enter Carmen Ruiz, a woman marked by deep scars on her heart, yet gifted with the rare ability to transform pain into love. Nobody believed she could win over Alvaro and Beatriz, the twins who rejected any attempt at closeness. But what seemed like another failure became a chapter of rebirth, full of laughter, imagination, and even the mysterious magic of shoelaces. What you'll discover in this story is not just how a house in Marbella went from cold and silent to pulsating with life again. It's about how true love can heal old wounds, rebuild bonds, and even create a new kind of family unity. Get ready, this narrative will move your emotions and perhaps even stir your own memories of loss and resilience. Alejandro Mendoza hadn't planned to return so soon, but fate often plays with our schedules. Crossing the marble hall of the Marbella Chalet, he felt that familiar flutter in his stomach, a mix of memories, grief, and a touch of guilt for so many absences. He had no idea that, in that very moment, his life was about to change. He expected the heavy silence of solitude, maybe another report from the housekeeper on the twins' rebellious behavior. But instead, he heard something unexpected: laughter and songs echoing through the garden. The sound stirred him, for it had been a long time since that home had vibrated with genuine joy. Curious, Alejandro walked slowly, trying not to be noticed. Each step brought a whirlwind of thoughts about Helena, his late wife, and the emptiness that seemed impossible to fill. Yet there was something different in the air, as if the pain was beginning to turn into love, even though he didn't yet understand how. Hidden from view, Alejandro saw Carmen Ruiz in the garden, kneeling beside Alvaro and Beatriz. She didn't speak to them like just any nanny. She spoke like someone who truly understood their pain. She invented imaginary games, gave affectionate nicknames, and even turned shoelaces into magic wands, drawing laughter that seemed impossible. The twins, once closed off and wary, were fully present in the moment. They played, ran, and sang improvised songs as if the entire Mediterranean were witnessing a quiet miracle. For children who had lost their mother and repeatedly rejected affection, the scene held an almost magical quality. Alejandro could hardly believe what he saw. It was as if Carmen had the key to their hearts, opening doors he himself couldn't touch. Inside him, a mix of hope and fear arose. Could this woman, with her sweetness and hidden pain, really return something to the family that seemed lost forever? Alejandro Mendoza remembered well 12 nannies had already come and gone through that Marbella Chalet. All had surrendered, defeated by the twins' rebellion and the solitude they carried since their mother's death. But with Carmen Ruiz, it was different. Within days, the twins laughed in ways they hadn't in years. He realized it wasn't just about discipline or childcare techniques. Carmen possessed something no one else did: a sensitivity that reached straight into children's hearts. She didn't try to replace Helena, nor impose cold rules. Instead, she offered true love, trust, and a gaze that understood pain. That first impression deeply moved Alejandro. For the first time, he began to believe there might be a way out of the silent grief that dominated his home. And deep down, he felt torn between gratitude for the transformation and fear of opening his still-healing heart to new possibilities. The Marbella Chalet, with its marble hall and garden kissed by the Mediterranean breeze, symbolized wealth but held a heavy silence. Alejandro Mendoza had conquered the business world. Yet at home, Helena's absence as late wife loomed like a constant shadow. Alvaro and Beatriz, the twins, grew up amid interrupted laughter and painful memories. Without their mother, they channeled their grief into rebellion, rejecting affection and testing limits. The void left by loss had become a wall too difficult to cross, one that even their father couldn't tear down. 3 years of failed attempts, 12 nannies who left without leaving a trace of hope. Each failure reinforced the idea that nothing could fill that home, until Carmen Ruiz arrived, bringing not only practical care, but a rare mix of strength and gentleness that would change the family's destiny. At their first breakfast, Carmen Ruiz recognized a minefield she had entered. Alvaro and Beatriz competed to see who could drop the most crumbs on the floor while shooting challenging glances at her. Instead of getting frustrated, she turned the table into a stage for imaginary games. Whoever could chew with a smile earned a point in the heart album. Gradually, the heavy atmosphere dissolved. What was once a source of conflict turned into laughter. Between sips of juice and homemade cookies, the twins discovered that even simple tasks could be fun, provided someone had the creativity to add color to everyday life. Carmen did it effortlessly, almost as naturally as breathing. Alejandro, watching from the marble hall, was astonished. He had never seen his children react like this. It was as if grief surrendered to imagination, and even without admitting it, he began to wonder if this woman was precisely the answer fate had prepared. Carmen Ruiz didn't just provide care. She created a whole universe for Alvaro and Beatriz. She began calling them affectionate nicknames, strengthening the self-esteem hidden behind tantrums. Every word from her seemed to remind them that even amidst grief and solitude, there was room for joy and trust. The Heart album became a special ritual. In it, the children placed drawings, phrases, and even small photos, recording moments that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. This simple practice helped turn pain into love, showing that honoring Helena's memory could coexist with emotional healing. Creative activities completed the transformation. Homemade cookies scented the chalet. Treasure hunts filled the hallways with laughter, and magical stories brought life to previously silent nights. The home, once seemingly condemned to sadness, now resonated with songs and the vibrant energy of a childhood finally reclaimed. Alejandro Mendoza began arriving home earlier, just to witness the new world Carmen had created. It wasn't only the children's transformation that intrigued him, but also the calm and empathy she radiated. There was something in her gaze revealing a hidden sorrow, as if she too carried deep scars. He realized that behind her strength and captivating smile lay a story of pain. Carmen wasn't there merely for a job. She seemed to have a higher purpose, something connected to true love and the reconstruction of a family. Alejandro felt a mixture of admiration and a desire to protect the woman caring for his children with such dedication. Daily life created small moments of intimacy, discreet conversations in the kitchen, exchanged glances in the garden, silent gestures of care. Each moment drew them closer, showing that shared pain can transform into trust, laying the foundation for a love that heals and is reborn. One afternoon, while the twins slept, Carmen Ruiz opened up to Alejandro. She spoke of Estrella, her daughter lost in an accident caused by a drunk driver, and the ensuing years of grief and depression. Each word carried guilt and pain, but also a quiet courage Alejandro had never seen before. She explained how the divorce after the tragedy left her even more alone, and how life seemed to stop until she accepted the job at the Marbella Chalet. What no one knew was that her true goal wasn't just to work, but to help children like Alvaro and Beatriz, who were grieving the loss of a loved one. Alejandro listened silently, impressed by Carmen's depth. The revelation not only explained her gestures and sensitivity, but also reinforced the connection growing between them. It was clear that shared love and pain were about to transform this family forever. Carmen Ruiz dedicated herself fully to the twins, always with creativity, patience, and genuine love. Every achievement of Alvaro and Beatriz, no matter how small, was celebrated as a victory of life over pain. Alejandro began to see that her devotion was nothing short of miraculous force capable of turning grief into laughter. He began admiring Carmen in a way that went beyond attraction. He admired her courage, sensitivity, and healing ability. Gradually, he shared with her his fears, insecurities, and the sorrow he had held since Helena's death. And so emerged a healing love, built on respect, trust, and everyday discoveries. Evening conversations, shared coffees, and games with the twins became rituals strengthening their bond. Alejandro understood that Carmen was more than a nanny. She was reconstructing the concept of family, and together they could create a home where pain and joy coexist in harmony. The twins began calling Carmen Mama the Heart, and that simple gesture sealed a bond beyond any formal title. Alejandro realized it wasn't just about care or fun, it was unconditional love, capable of turning loss into family unity. Finally, the family was finding its own rhythm. To celebrate this new chapter, they organized a symbolic ceremony in the chalet garden. Amid laughter and tears, each child expressed gratitude and love, honoring Helena and, unknowingly, paving the way for little Estrella, who would one day be reborn. The ritual showed that healing is possible through affection and genuine presence. Months later came the official wedding, surrounded by tributes to Helena and Carmen's lost daughter. The Mediterranean reflected the morning light over the union of hearts choosing love and reconstruction. Alejandro, Carmen, and the twins finally felt that grief had blossomed into hope. 5 years passed, and the fruits of Carmen Ruiz's love and dedication began to show. Alvaro grew responsible, sensitive, and found in the piano a way to express feelings once hidden behind rebellion. Each note seemed to carry the emotional healing his mom of the heart provided. Beatriz discovered her talent for creative writing, transforming painful experiences into magical, confident stories. Alejandro became not only a successful businessman, but also a present, attentive family man. The Marbella Chalet, once silent, now vibrated with laughter, songs, and the joy of a rebuilt home. Carmen, in turn, was reborn in her own life. She found purpose, delight in small things, and certainty that her pain, transformed into love, had created a new family foundation. Her presence, balancing grief, joy, and hope, showed that even after tragedy, a home could be full of life. Carmen Ruiz discovered she was pregnant, and along with joy came fear. The trauma of losing her first daughter still lingered in her heart, but Alejandro and the twins were constant support. Together, they breathed trust, true love, and confidence that destiny still held moments of happiness. The birth of the baby girl brought a sense of renewal to the entire family. They chose the name Estrella, honoring Carmen's lost daughter, closing a cycle of pain and opening space for unconditional love. Every smile from the little one reminded them that life could be honored and celebrated, even after tragedy. The Marbella home, now vibrant, witnessed the closing of the circle between loss and hope. The Mediterranean seemed to reflect this new light as the family learned together that love does not replace what was lost, but creates something new, deep, and unforgettable. Alejandro and Carmen decided to turn their story into a life mission, creating an organization to support grieving families. The foundation not only helped others cope with loss, but strengthened family bonds, reinforcing that pain could be channeled into love and solidarity. Alvaro and Beatriz actively participated in social initiatives, learning that empathy and generosity are powerful tools for healing. Amid homemade cookies and creative games, the family taught that sharing love and care is a way to honor those who are gone. The Marbella Chalet became more than a home, it became a center of hope and emotional reconstruction. Family unity solidified, showing that when pain is transformed into purpose, life renews itself and destiny's power manifests in remarkable ways. Every night, the family gathered in the garden or marble hall to share things they were grateful for. Small moments of children's laughter, freshly baked cookies, a piano song gained importance, reinforcing trust and family unity. The gratitude ritual wasn't just symbolic, it was also a practice of emotional healing. Carmen taught that recognizing small joys helps transform pain into love and hope, creating a strong foundation for everyone, including the new Estrella exploring the world. Over time, the twins internalized this habit, and Alejandro realized how simple words of gratitude strengthen bonds and awaken life purpose. It was more than routine night, it was a daily reminder that even after tragedy, life could be celebrated with unconditional love. Alejandro Mendoza, watching his family together, reflected on how Carmen Ruiz had transformed their lives. She had not only brought joy to the twins, but also taught that pain could be turned into true love and hope after tragedy. Every gesture, every laugh, every piano song represents rebirth and emotional healing. The spiritual presence of Helena and the first Estrella seemed to guide each step, reminding them that honoring the memory of those lost is also building something new. Alejandro realized that while love doesn't replace loss, it creates opportunities for reconstruction, life purpose, and family unity. And for you, watching the story unfold, consider how can you transform your own losses into opportunities for growth and connection? Share, comment, and embrace this message, allowing it to inspire more lives to find healing through love and hope.